So obviously not the results, that any of us are hoping for, right? Or that we work so hard for. And again, that starts with me first and foremost. Got to do a much better job throughout the course of the week. Doing a better job with our attention to detail, the way that we're coaching, particularly offensively. So when we get in the red zone there, when the area in the field tightens up and the margin of error tightens up, that we can be much cleaner when we're down there. In particular, anytime that you have the number of trips that we did, and you settle for the number of field goals that we did in a close ball game, that we know that these are going to be, and they're all 4-quarter fights. It ends up being the difference as you go with all of it. So got to do a much better job in that area in particular. Kids battled all the way through. And again, I just got to put them in a better position to be successful from start to finish with everything.
Coach, in the offseason, you described your offense as a Cadillac. Why has it been unable to get out of the garage this year?
Yeah, again, it's probably has to do with a lot of the things that I'm working through with the personnel, that we're trying to figure out what's best, the number of different combinations that we've played with the offensive line up front, a young quarterback who's coming into his own, multitude of factors that go into it, right? But it starts and finishes with me, and I got to do a better job, again, ironing out where the holes are and making sure that we're putting ourselves in the best position to be successful.
And you've said, in previous games, very similar, to what you just said. Is there anything that you're not identifying that can maybe, put a spark into what this for the last 3 games?
Yeah, probably just got to identify what the kids consistently do best, right? And being able to consistently replicate that over and over again, right? It seems like one week we do one thing really, really well, and you try and build a game plan around that. And then, it's not as strong as it was the week prior, right? And so, again, really taking a deep dive into what is it truly that we do consistently well so that we can build a plan around that. So when you get in those critical moments, wherever it might be, in the beginning of the game, the end of the game, third down, red area, that you can lean on those things and do what you do well, and lean on the players that you know that you can count on.
Coach, what adjustments did you guys make defensively after New Mexico's second touchdown run? They went from the first quarter to the fourth without scoring a single point.
Yeah, we did a great job, much better job communicating, getting our cleats in the ground and playing good sound football, right? The 2 explosive plays that they had, they did a nice job. They split us out on the one, and, it was an open field tackle and that we came up a little bit short on, right? That's going to happen. That's the nature of the game. And, they were able to take it the distance. The other one, we just kind of lost an edge, right? So those base fundamental things that we know that are at the root of good, consistent defense, which we've done over the long haul, we just got that refined. And, unfortunately, those 2 plays, those explosive plays, become the difference.
You had a 4th and 5 from the 39. I think halfway through the fourth quarter, you decided to punt. Was there a thought process on going forward there?
Yeah, what happened on the 3rd and 1 on the play prior, right? So kind of lost momentum in that regard. We had all 3 timeouts in our back pocket. Tyler's a really dangerous weapon to be able to pin him back. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's one where Chris caught it on the -1 and we had him pinned back, right? So, it was kind of, again, the combination, the flow of the game at that point in time.
Is the quarterback sneak something that's an option in the playbook?
Yep. We've done it before. Yep.
Seemed like you started to build some momentum toward halftime. Did they do anything in particular that kind of just shut things down?
Played a little bit more zone coverage in the second half and did a nice job putting a net around things. I thought it was a good adjustment for them. And then they did a really nice job varying their pressure packages all night long. In the first half, they were bringing a lot of things from the field. The second half, they started bringing it from the boundary, right? And so, but a lot of man coverage heavy in the first half, a little bit more zone, relative to what they had shown in the second half to limit the explosive plays and the chunk plays that we had in the first half.
Coach, you talked about earlier how Pope and Napier formed that good combo and they were really splitting carries. It seemed like Jordan had a little bit more of the line share tonight. Was that the plan going in? Pope was maybe that last week, or could you address that?
Yeah, Polk was a little bit limited because of what happened last week in practice this week, and was really going to be a game time decision. And again, obviously, as we talked all along, we think practice repetition is game reality. And, Jordan was up and available and be able to execute the plan all throughout the course of the week. And obviously his play has warranted, him getting his first start. And so that's why that happened that way.
Coach, you did get a chance in the fourth quarter to punt, and Kai fielded it on the 4.
Yep.
Is that a situation where you're supposed to catch that, or at what point do you let it bounce into the end zone?
We typically want our guys to have their heels on the 5, and that's the cliff where we want to be. But obviously, he's making a high-speed decision back there, and he's done an unbelievable job of valuing the football in that regard. So, again, he's a guy that we know that we can trust consistently, and we'll start on the -4, and away we go.
What goes through your mind when you see Danny so open on that one play, but you guys just can't finish?
Say that again.
What goes through your mind when you see Danny so open on that one play and you just can't finish?
I mean, again, missed opportunities, right? And again, you don't know throughout the course of the game what play is going to be the play, right? But that wasn't the only play, that we shouldn't be in that situation again, because if I coach up the detail of the one that gets called on offensive pass interference earlier, right? We shouldn't be downfield on that. And then it's a wide receiver screen, the way that we were able to execute at other moments in the game, then it's a touchdown and you're able to hold that play for a little bit further down range in the game off of everything. And then the way it all plays out, right? You're not kind of shooting all your shots early and exhausting your situational script in that regard, right? So again, I got to do a better job detailing up the plan, knowing that our kids are dialed into what's going on and being able to execute that so we can be consistent on and have great execution the way that we're capable of and the way that we've shown in moments, play in and play out. And that's, again, a superpower of the truly best of the best, that we got to do a great job training them up and making sure that they're in the right process and the right mindset to do that from the very start to the very finish.
Coach, you talked a little bit about Gabe Placencia, obviously earlier in the year. There was questions about the field goal. We're not talking about it anymore.
No. Yeah, again, right, a guy who's consistently good, not occasionally great, right? And we knew at the start of the year, he had earned the job. And again, now that he's got it and it's his, he's really taken ownership of it. And regardless of, where we're at, conditions of play, whatever the case might be, he's got a single-minded focus that when he goes out there, there's going to be points that get put on the board. And he's done a great job with it.
And with the offense, I mean, it seems like there's been a lot of games where one half you're not able to get into the end zone. It seemed like you had that momentum in the first half, but then you were shut out in the end zone in the second. And it's flipped halves, at different points. I mean, you obviously know a lot more about football than I do. I mean, what causes that kind of flip and from really being able to move the ball and do something really well to just not being able to do it at all?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we moved the ball well all day, right? I mean, but to say that we scored a touchdown in the first half and we didn't score any in the second half, right? Like, to our standard, that's not good enough at all, right? And so there's, again, the multitude of factors, right? The guys who are up and available to practice as you're building out the plan, the number of offensive linemen that are game time decisions, right? Like, to get really good at this and to be able to execute the complexities of our system and to what we want to do and what we're capable of doing, you got to practice it to get better at it, right? And we've been hampered and we've been limited a little bit by who's been able to practice and who's been able to do what throughout the course of the week. So that leads to an inconsistency in the execution. And again, I got to do a much better job, in building that plan so that we can be, operating at a higher level and a higher clip, again, from the very first drive to the very last drive, and have the amount of production that I believe this team is capable of having.
Anything else for Coach?
What's your message to them over the last 3 games?
I mean, to, again, continue to fight, right? That's who we're going to be, and to continue to, pour into one another and to pull tight as we go forward with this, right? I mean, the beauty of this game is that it's going to help you develop your character. It's going to help prepare you for life, right? And so, again, I know there's no one that's going to shut it down in that locker room, right? They're going to pull tight. They're going to pull together. We got no margin for error as we go right now, right? And so we got to be, hyper focused on what we need to do, and we need to maximize the opportunities that we have to generate some more time together, which I still think we're capable of doing.